So if you've been watching my 3-part series about my job and my life as a marine biologist at a marine conservation organization, you would know that this is the 3rd video in the series. So over the last few weeks, I've been posting videos about my experience as a marine biologist at a marine conservation organization. I talked about the cons of this experience, working on a small rural island at a small conservation organization, and then I also talked about the pros that I had and why this experience was something I wouldn't trade for anything. Now, welcome to the 3rd video where I'm going to be talking about all of the major takeaways and largest lessons that I learned working at a job like this, one that so many people consider a dream job. So for those of you that are new here, just briefly describing this job and who I am, what led me to it. My name is Eli. I'm a marine biologist, a scuba instructor. I graduated just a few years ago with my bachelor's in biology and environmental science, and I've been working a job at a marine conservation organization on the small island of Utila in Honduras, working at an organization where I did hands-on conservation and research on the reef, and I also taught lots of interns about the marine biology on the island, both in the water and in the classroom. So going into my biggest takeaways, my very first one is that even dream jobs have really extreme hardships. And this is something that my former self might not have even believed before I had walked into this kind of job. And I think that's something that's so important to acknowledge. I think dream jobs like this, where you see people that are scuba diving on reefs, doing conservation, swimming with whale sharks and dolphins and all kinds of things, it looks like they literally have a perfect life, and there could be nothing wrong with that. And I could not have been more wrong going into this job. Now, don't get me wrong, the job was absolutely incredible. You can see that from my pros video that I'll link above, but it definitely had some extreme hardships. Things like working holidays, things like working 50-hour weeks every single week and barely getting any days off. It was extremely challenging at times, and something that I really did not take into account as much before going into the position. So just know that even the dream jobs that you see and you think about and romanticize to the greatest extent possible, there are still hardships that come along with that. I think it's just important to understand if the hardships are really worth how much you love the job that you're taking on. So the second takeaway that I have here is that when your life is your work and your work is what you love, it's so important to still draw boundaries. This is something I needed to hear from the very first day that I entered this organization. I was willing to go all in for this organization. I was so excited to have my dream job. I was willing to work 7 days a week and not stop. And even if this is something that you dreamed about forever and something that you love with all of your heart, it is still important to take a step away from it and do other things, think about other things, talk about other things at certain points in time, or any points in time. I think throughout my career in this job over the last year, the very first few months, I did not do that. And on my days off, I was still doing work. And in the mornings before, in the evenings after work, I was still working because I loved it. But over time, that really impacted me very negatively to just burn me out and really take away a lot of the love and excitement I had for the role. So know that that can happen despite how much you love something. It definitely happened for me, and it was really a very difficult time when it did, when I really needed to take a step away from everything and I wasn't able to because I didn't have time to. So it's so important to draw boundaries. So the third takeaway that I have on here is that you'll never truly understand another culture until you immerse yourself in it. And even then, you will find more things to appreciate. This was something that has been one of the best parts of this entire experience of living here in another country, somewhere where the native language is completely different from my own. It has been a gift unlike anything else to be a part of a new community and just be a complete stranger to it, but eventually get to the point of being very comfortable in it. It has been amazing to witness the different ways that people live their lives and the different ways that people interact with others and the way that they look at life. It has been incredible to be such a part of that. I've been able to improve my Spanish dramatically in the last year being here, and that has also been an amazing benefit too. But just being a part of it, I've been able to open my mind in so many new ways, and that is something I will always be so grateful for. The next thing I have on here is a really important one, and it's that you should always take working in another country that's not your own with a huge grain of salt. And this is especially important for people that are working under the table or not necessarily with a work visa. It is so incredibly important to be culturally aware. It is so important when you are working in another place. It is so disrespectful for people to just go to another place and expect other people to accommodate to them and to not respect other people's cultures and values. And it takes a long time to really understand those if you haven't been studying it or if you haven't been in that community before. I think this is something that you should really be aware of if you're looking to work in another country, because it's just so important to respect the community that you are now a part of, especially the local people that really deserve that respect. And you'll find that once you really do start to understand that culture, it will be an amazing process of learning about it and being accepted into it. That will make the experience even greater. So the next thing on here is something that I've gotten so familiar with, but it's that living in a place where you can't afford very much makes you appreciate the things that you have so much more. And that could not be more true living on a rural island. It is so just kind of like gratifying and also grounding to have this experience where you cannot order things online very easily without them arriving months later or at least several weeks later. You can't get so many things easily, so you really have to make use of the things that you have and really understand what you really want if you do really want to order something. And that has been so nice to just kind of minimalize my life and not make me focus so much on things that I don't need, and also to prevent me from spending tons of money that I don't have. So I think it's been so amazing to have that, because I found that I really appreciate the things that I have so much more because of that, because I can't ship them here easily. So the next thing and the last thing on this list is that despite all of the hardships and all of the trouble that I put myself through in this job, I will never regret this experience. I have learned so much about myself, and I have had the amount of experiences that I've had in every single week through this job. It could have been stretched out over years. I will have stories to tell my kids and my grandkids forever, and that is the most amazing part of this job. The fact that I was able to live so much life in such a short amount of time is something that I will forever be so grateful for. So yeah, I will definitely never regret it. So if you found this video useful, you should definitely check out the other videos that I have made about this topic, about this job. It's part of a 3-video series, so you should definitely check out the other 2 if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you should definitely do that too if you haven't already. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.